Yo boys, it's Dan. Welcome back to another Premier League prediction video. Now today is another debutant in Allnewsfifa, but before we get into the predictions, let's have a reminder of the scores, of the guest score from last week. As it was Josh, he got a whopping 10 points. So Bobby is still out in the lead with 15, and it's Allnewsfifa's job to knock him off the top spot. That's it. Press like and subscribe, and let's get into game number 6 of the Premier League. First game is an absolute belter. Is it Chelsea versus Man City? Absolute belter this game. This game's a massive. This game's huge. It's huge at the top of the table. This game could, I'm saying this now, could decide the league. Let's go to London or let's go to Manchester. And I think it's going to be a score fest here of 4 goals. And it'll be a 2-2 draw to both teams. And Allnewsfifa, for the very first time, what are you going for, pal?
In the Premier League. Right, it's game week 6 in the Premier League. This weekend I'm going to go through my thoughts and my predictions for all the games. So we're going to start off with the first game of the weekend, which is Chelsea versus Man City. Now, in my opinion, it's going to be quite a close game. Chelsea very solid defensively. Against Man City, obviously got a 0-0 draw at the weekend against Southampton. How strong they were in that game, obviously not being able to beat Southampton, one of the worst teams in the league in my opinion. Isn't great. Obviously Chelsea beating Tottenham 3-0 at the weekend, pretty comfortably in the second half. And I think it's going to be a close game. Chelsea are very solid defensively. And I think Chelsea are actually, at the moment, in terms of form, I think Chelsea are the better team. So I'm going to go for the first game, Chelsea-Man City, I'm going to go for 1-0 to Chelsea this weekend.
Thank you. And now move to the second game. The other Manchester club, Manchester United versus Aston Villa. Now, United came through a scare against West Ham, a big one. If you haven't seen his highlights, oh my word, that was always a close to fair. But we won in the end thanks to Lingard wonder. Well, Lingard good goal after Lingard's blunder against the young boys in the Champions League. Let's discuss that, please. And I'm gonna say we're at home. It will be another homecoming. Can Ronaldo keep up his goal? He's scored in every league game he's played so far for the boys. And it will be. I'm gonna go with another 2-1 victory to Manchester United because Aston Villa will get a chance. I'll take it. And they will get a chance. I'll take it. And Allnewsfifa, what are you doing for, pal?
Second game is Man United against Villa. Obviously, me being a Man United fan, obviously a big game. Aston Villa, how good are Aston Villa? Obviously, they did beat Everton comfortably, 3-0 against Everton last weekend. Obviously, Leon Bailey playing really well, but I still think we have a stronger squad than Villa do, and we should be able to beat them. Again, it depends what Man United turn up. If we get a Man United that turned up, for example, against young boys in the Champions League, we'll struggle. But if we get a Man United that turned up against Newcastle, for example, then we should play well, and I can see us comfortably beating Villa. I'm going to go for Man United Villa. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Man United. I do think Villa will score. Villa have some very good attacking players: Leon Bailey, Danny Ings, Ollie Watkins. So I think it'll be a comfortable win for Man United in the end.
We move to Everton versus a bottom table club at Norwich. Now Everton, incredible form. Playing good stuff on the Benitez. And Norwich, I've got a little stat: 15 games in a row in the Premier League without winning a game. It'll probably be 16, and it is 16. It'll be a whopping 3-0 win to Everton. And Mr. Allnewsfifa, what are you going for, pal?
This game of the weekend is Everton against Norwich. Obviously, Norwich just awful form, just losing all their games. Pretty much going to get relegated, in my opinion. Everton, again, a bit of a strange on Everton this year. They seem to be very inconsistent, obviously winning quite a few home games, and obviously having that 3-0 defeat to Villa at the weekend. Obviously, I think they were missing Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, so depending on if they're back or not, I don't think it'll make too much of a difference, because Norwich are so poor. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Everton win. I really don't think Norwich offer anything in terms of staying up in the league this season.
Next game, thank you, mate. I move to Leeds versus the Hammers. West Ham look good against United last Sunday, or last weekend, and Leeds play this attack. You know how well Leeds play. They're just amazing, and I'm gonna say it could be an absolute goal for them. West Ham may have Antonio back. I'm not quite sure, but if they do, I'll say West Ham, and I'm gonna go with 3. I'm going to go with 3-2 in West Ham. I know it's crazy, but it could happen. And Mr. Allnewsfifa, what are you going for, pal, for this game?
Next game is Leeds against West Ham. This has got goals written all over it. Obviously, West Ham, Antonio will be back. And West Ham are a great team this year. Against Leeds, who just goes all out every game and go for the win. So I expect there to be lots and lots of goals. Whenever Leeds are involved, there's going to be goals in the game. So I think it's going to go. I think West Ham have got the better players on paper, but I do think there'll be a lot of goals. I'm going to go for 3-2 West Ham win on that game.
They move to Leicester versus Burnley. And Leicester in a sticky patch at the moment. Lost their last 2, or lost their last 1 anyway. I'm not sure about the last game, but yeah. And Burnley, they're consistent. Sure, that's not a new deal. They still got a home win, but this is away. They're good away from home. And I'm gonna go. Leicester need the point. Leicester need a win to get the fans back on side, and they will. Of 2-1. And Mr. Allnewsfifa, what are you going for, pal?
Next up, we've got Leicester against Burnley. Now, another interesting fixture because Leicester really aren't on that great form. Obviously, losing to Brighton last weekend. Burnley are on an awful run as well. Obviously, losing to Arsenal. But you know what you're going to get at Burnley. You know it's going to be a really difficult game against Burnley. And again, if you look at the two teams, both teams I think are quite similar. So I think it's going to be a really tight game, like the Chelsea City game. I think Leicester-Burnley will be a very close game. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, just because Leicester really aren't on like the best form at the moment.
I move to Watford versus Newcastle. Now, Watford played well against Norwich. Emmanuel Dennis is beginning to find his form in the Premiership which is good which is good. And Sar's beginning to score goals again now for fun now. And I will say Watford will win this game. It will be a 1-0. No, actually, I'm gonna go 2-1 because you know that Alan Saint-Maximin is going to score a goal or make a goal. And Allnewsfifa going
at the moment. Next up, Watford against Newcastle. Watford obviously very convincing against Norwich at the weekend, winning 3-1. Against the Newcastle team, got a 1-1 against Leeds last weekend. Now Newcastle, I think Newcastle have got some decent players. Saint-Maximin, Almiron, they've got some good players. And so have Watford. If you look at the Watford team, players like Moussa Sissoko, they've got quite a lot of Premier League players that were at top teams. Danny Rose in there, Ben Foster. So Watford have actually got a good team. I do fancy Watford obviously being at home, to beat Newcastle this weekend. So for that game, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Watford. And there's
Thank you, mate. Now move to probably the toughest game of Brentford's season. It's Brentford versus Liverpool. This is Brentford's toughest test so far in their 5 games they played. They're at home. I mean, Arsenal was a test, and they won that on their first game. But this is an even bigger test. This is a top 14. This is This is a title contending team. Now, will Liverpool come out and play Liverpool's normal style of football, or will they let Brentford push them? I think Liverpool will conduct the game and be all over them like a shot. And it will be a 2-0 win to Liverpool. And Mr. Allnewsfifa, what are you going for, mate, in this big game? Well, not big game, but tough test for Brentford.
5 game on Saturday is Brentford against Liverpool. Obviously, it's at Brentford. So not the easiest place to go. Brentford obviously beating Wolves 2-0, even though there was apparently quite a lot of time wasting going on that game. On Liverpool, though, it's Liverpool. They've got an insane first 11, and if they've got everyone fit, I think Firmino potentially might be back. You're going to fancy Liverpool at the end of the day, unless obviously they're missing some key players. But I do think Brentford, it will be a tough game for Liverpool. And I think Brentford will score, so I'm going to go for, in that game, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Liverpool again. Not as easy as people make it out to be.
I move to Southampton versus Wolves. Now this game, keep it short and sweet, 0-0. I mean, Southampton looked well against Man City, and Wolves couldn't break down 10 on Brentford when they were 2 goals down. So Wolves are like that, but I'm going to go in a 0-0 and Allnewsfifa, what are you going to do?
That one. Then on Sunday, we've got Southampton against Wolves, 2 teams that are kind of struggling at the moment. Obviously, Wolves are struggling to win. They are creating those chances, but struggling to win against Southampton team, which I said I think it's going to struggle the whole season. Obviously, they got a very good point at the weekend against Man City, but I think their general squad just really isn't that good. So I think it's a must-win game for both teams, really. So I do think it's going to end a draw. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw between Southampton and Wolves. But again, either team could win that. You really can't choose one out of those two.
Now we move to probably the biggest game of the game week. Arsenal versus Spurs. Oof, this is a North London Derby. We all know it is. And you can this is on the thumbnail as well. So it's Emma Smith. It's Arsenal versus Villa. So you can tell the thumbnail Smith Rowe and Lucas Moura. Yeah. And I'm gonna. This game could be goals. Could be goals scored today. This could be goals scored in this game. I'm gonna go with Spurs 2. I'm gonna go with another 2-2. Yep. And for the penultimate time on his FIFA, what are you going for, brother?
North London Derby, Arsenal against Tottenham. Now obviously Tottenham getting smacked by Chelsea at the weekend. Arsenal winning their last 2 games. You look at form, Arsenal are better in terms of form, but form in North London derbies is irrelevant. Obviously it is at the Emirates. I do fancy Arsenal though. I do fancy Arsenal. They've got, the momentum at the moment going forward. Tottenham obviously really not performing too well. 3-0 loss to Crystal Palace, 3-0 loss to Chelsea. Tottenham really aren't in good form. Players don't look bothered either. The body language of Harry Kane yesterday in the Chelsea game was awful. The players are they're tired, they've given up already, especially in that game against Chelsea. So I'm going to go for an Arsenal win, and I'm going to go for a 1-0 Arsenal win. North London Derby is always really close. There's been quite a lot of 0-0s over the last few years, and I think it's going to be another tight game. So I'm going to go 1-0 to Arsenal in that one.
They move to Crystal Palace versus Brighton on a Monday night. Monday night football, as Jack would say. And it will be Brighton have won 4 out of their 5 matches they've played this season. Wow. They're high flying, and Palace are doing well. And I'm going to go with a Brighton win. They'll continue that form. Not by much, by 2-0. And for the penultimate time, for the final time for this game week, Mr. Allnewsfifa, what are you going for, mate?
Final game of the weekend is Crystal Palace against Brighton on Monday Night Football. So obviously this is a derby. I believe it's the M23 derby between Crystal Palace and Brighton. Brighton, I think they're third in the league or something crazy like that. Winning loads of games. They're flying. Crystal Palace, obviously under Vieira, still a bit mixed, bit inconsistent, but Palace have got a good team, and I think they'll give Brighton a good game. So I'm going to go for a draw in this one between Crystal Palace and Brighton. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between Crystal Palace and Brighton. So those are my predictions for game week 6 of the Premier League.
That will bring this Premier League video to an end. Oh boys, if you want to know where I get all my graphics and stuff from thumbnail, we got to Ben. He has now made himself a graphic thing. He's doing half my graphics, but I'm doing most of them. But I'm using his graphic basically. So yeah, I'll leave the link to his graphic link in the description down below. Go check it out. That's all Here Between Issue stuff, like Here Between 2 and stuff like that. And it all plays there. There are some good people there. He's good, and I'll definitely check him out, boys. And I'll leave a link in the description, and I'll leave all descriptions on mine as well. And I'll see you boys in the next video. Until then, peace.